Hockey Nights in Vegas, the Stanley Cup Playoffs edition. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by my esteemed colleague, Joe Payne of the Las Vegas Advisor. Joe, this was the matchup we didn't want to see in game one. We didn't have the outcome we thought we were going to have. The Golden Knights dominated the first period. The games, second and third period, were a lot more back and forth. It was dominated by goaltending. We can certainly say that. A fluke, a deflection, and that's how things go in games sometimes, cost the Golden Knights a 1-0 loss to the Minnesota Wild. The big takeaway for the game, besides losing, was probably the absolute panic amongst fan base that was stoked by the media that, oh my God, this is the second coming of the bubble last year. You want to go ahead and give me your first takes on game one only, please?
Game one only. Well, you're correct. It was the matchup we didn't want. We obviously would have preferred to play St. Louis only because of the troubles that the Vegas Golden Knights have had historically against the Minnesota Wild, especially in Minnesota. They've never won a game there. So they would, in order to be comfortable, they would have to hold serve, so to speak, at T-Mobile, and they wound up losing game one, which now forces them to pretty much have to win a game, at least one game in St. Louis, to get out of this series.
In Minnesota.
In Minnesota, to get out of this series. And, can that be done? Can you take what's happened previously? Because they never played Minnesota in the playoff series. Can you take whatever's happened previously in Minnesota and bring that forward and rely on that as sort of evidence, so to speak, or trends? I don't think so, and I sure hope not. I think, but
I think that you throw the baby out and the bathwater
with the bathwater.
Yeah, because Minnesota's a completely different team than they are. With Guerin and Dean Evison behind the bench, they're not the same team that's got their ass handed to them in the playoffs the last 4 or 5 times. They're a much different team. So, the history that we can talk about is the Golden Knights playoff history. They have lost the first game 4 times in previous series, and they've come back to win all 4 game 2s. But back to game one, Cam Talbot makes 19 saves, 20 saves in the first period. The game sort of evens itself out. What did you think of the game overall for the first game of the playoffs? You see any trends that are developing?
Well, I want to say the continued lack of scoring in the playoffs, but you already made reference to that, how some members of the media are trying to connect the Edmonton bubble and this year's playoffs. I think St. Louis, I keep on going back to St. Louis, and I don't know why. I think Minnesota's game plan, that's been obvious, not only in game one, but in last night's game, is to completely neutralize Mark Stone. And they've been successful at doing that. Now, it helps a little bit that Pacioretty is not there. It's almost like, you can double cover a wide receiver, but that leaves another receiver wide open. With that first line, if you kind of neutralize Stone, other than Tuck really having being brought up to the first line for last night's game, he really didn't play up there on the first line for the first game until DeBoer switched it up. So I don't know. It's a very. I know you don't want to talk about 2 games, but they were complete opposites of each other.
They were, and we'll get to that. But
yeah,
okay,
complete opposites. But
okay, so you're saying that the first trend is Minnesota's absolute game plan to stop Stone, and
absolutely,
and I will counteract that with not counteract it. I will supplement that thought by saying that Pete DeBoer maximized his last change opportunity to minimize Kirill.
And he's done a great job with that.
And he's done an outstanding. He's got a couple of shots, but other than that, he certainly doesn't look like the rookie of the year. He looks like a very average forward who gets a little bit, who's already even a little bit frustrated, right?
Took that tripping penalty last night,
right.
late. Yeah.
So it seems to me that these games they have some similarities to the regular season series. Obviously, the intensity is ramped up. The physical play is certainly ramped up to quite a bit of a degree. But there was like panic after the game one loss, and you know what? As a whole, would you say that the Golden Knights outplayed Minnesota in game one? In the whole,
Yes.
in the whole 63 minutes, regardless of the score.
They outplayed them. They outgoaled. Even though Calvert threw a shutout, Fleury was the better goaltender in game one. Without a doubt.
He certainly had much more work. The Golden
Talbot,
Knights,
I think Talbot made 42 saves in game one.
Yeah, but okay. Yes. In volume, yes. But clearly I don't want to say Achilles heel, but I want to say one of the issues that you and I have talked about through the course of the year is the Golden Knights not always great defense in the high danger area. So yes, the shots were like 42-35 in the first game, but Minnesota had a boatload of real high danger scoring opportunities, probably more, or if not even, to what the Golden Knights had. And you could tell in the post game after game one, where they said, listen, we got to get to the greasy area. That's the same song they've been singing since the beginning. But I agree with you. The better team didn't come out on the positive end of the scoring. I mean, the first period was a wipeout. We know that. The second and third periods were fairly even back and forth. And the overtime was just a bad break when the NHL leader in shot blocking happens to have one that goes off of his skate and goes into the net. You chalk it up to shit happens.
Fleury makes that save if the puck doesn't hit Martinez's skate.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, you can actually see Fleury already had his right pad down exactly where the shot would have been.
Yep.
Does it bounce off Fleury's pad and become a juicy rebound? We'll never know. But the point is, he stops that initial shot.
Yes, he absolutely tracked the puck and was going to make that save.
Oh yeah,
100%.
And I know you don't want to kind of mesh games 1 and 2 together, but in my opinion, and I wrote about this in my article today, I think Fleury has played the best 2 back-to-back games he has ever played, not only as a Vegas Golden Knight, but maybe of his whole career. I mean, this man is in the zone right now.
Well, I'm going to disagree based on games 6 and 7 of his last
against
Stanley
Detroit.
Cup. Yeah, of course. But anyway.
Well, but
I'm biased.
Not only you're biased, you're talking about the significance of those 2 games.
Sure.
Especially the save he made with nanoseconds to go.
Sure.
But what I'm trying to say to you is that between Fleury's playing this last 2 games and Marchessault and Tuck's goals, they pretty much are the story of the series so far, because without Fleury and without those 3 key goals, actually 2 key goals, Marchessault scoring like literally 18 seconds, the Vegas Golden Knights season was about to come to a quick end. In my opinion, because they would have to have won 4 of the next 5 games if they didn't succeed.
So, are you going to tell me that Marchessault's goal was as significant significant in the Golden Knights history as the save on Alex Tuck in game 2 of the finals? Did Marchessault's goal, hold on, Joe, did Marchessault's goal turn the series?
Earn the series?
Turn.
Oh, turn the series. Well, we really can't answer that right now. That can only be answered when this series is over.
But we know
But
that they hadn't scored a goal in 95 minutes and 43 seconds. And they responded 18 seconds after they went down 1-0. And you were at the game last night, and I was on my couch per usual. But I bet after Minnesota scored, you could have heard a pin drop in the Fortress.
the air the air seemed to be sucked out of T-Mobile at that point. And I had a great view of Fleury, and his reaction was just his shoulders slumped. He when Fleury gives up a goal, he always skates to his right. You ever notice that?
Yep.
Most goaltenders grab their water bottle and take a drink.
He goes for
Fleury
a skate.
immediately goes off to his right, but you just saw his complete body language because I think he felt, oh my God, we're not scoring. I've given up a goal, and the goal, by the way, was not his fault. I mean, he didn't see it because I wrote today that if he sees it, he stops it. He didn't see it between Foligno and Nick Hague rushing to the front of the net, and the Knights overcommitted to that puck. He never saw the goal, and you can see it. And you're right, the T-Mobile didn't get quiet, but there was a sudden hush and over the arena, like and Fleury. I think they read Fleury's body language when you could see Fleury how he reacted to it. It was like, this is not good.
I don't know, but I heard this really strange whistling sound over the TV, and I think it was a lot of people's buttholes puckering after the first goal.
I don't know, but
so they go.
Marchessault responding, the team responding. I mean, it was crucial. And was it the thing that saved this series? I guess we'll know in like a week. Because we didn't know when that save was made on Tuck in game 2 by Hopi. We knew it was an incredible save. Would it have been the difference in the whole series? I don't know, because they still wouldn't have won the game. That I believe Tuck's goal would have only tied the game.
Right.
If I'm correct. Yeah, they were behind by 1 goal. So you never know when, like you say, in playoff games, one bounce, one nick of Martinez's skate changes everything. So did it change the series? I'll get back to you on that one.
On to game 2. Much different than game 1. 180-degree difference, I would say. The Golden Knights kind of had their ass handed to them. Got outshot 19-10, but more than just the 19 shots, there was a whole bunch of grade A scoring chances. And if it wasn't for Fleury literally saving the bacon, that game could have gotten out of control really early. The big difference was after they fell behind, there was a response. And that, I think, absolutely, well, for sure, they loosened the grip on their sticks after Marchessault scored. 100%. I think that's not even a point that can be contested. But the other thing that happened, they loosened up and they really started to carry the play. They got faster through the neutral zone. Their forechecking improved quite a bit, and not just the fourth line, who has played pretty good, even now short another man. But the Golden Knights showed experience, and they showed championship mettle by, not folding up the tent.
Well, Eddie, there's just too much experience in that room to fold up the tent when you only go down 1-0. Yes, I understand Vegas lately has had a problem putting the puck in the net, but there's way too much, not only playoff experience, but just there's too much leadership in that room for them to just sort of pack it in. They weathered the storm thanks to Fleury in the first period. No doubt in my mind. If Fleury doesn't play like he played, that game is probably over after the first period. Only because the Knights seem to be and missing Pacioretty for what is it, like 9 games now? At least the last 2 playoff games and the previous regular season games. That's hurt their goal production. That's hurt even though their power play scored a goal last night. It was kind of like one of those things where I think Talbot wasn't really set. He had just been off the ice for the extra skater, had to go back in the net, and I think he kind of got bum rushed, and Tuck wound up putting the puck behind him. But Vegas is going to have to score goals, and that power play is going to have to get better for two reasons. One is to get out of this series, and the second reason is to go deep into the playoffs, which they are expected to do. But if they don't score on that power play, it's been atrocious to the point of where I believe in game one, Minnesota had a better scoring chance killing the penalty than Vegas had on the power play. And
Yeah,
this
but
has been something that
that's a disturbing pattern that we've seen.
oh, that's
a bunch
been
of
going
times.
on for
Yeah.
not all season but for a big chunk of the season, their entry into the offensive zone is horrible. I mean,
Okay, but what's the fix? We're not going to know what's going on with Pacioretty. You said you saw him in the building, or we
he's been
know
in
for
the
sure.
he's been in the building the last two games. He's been up in the press box. Um, but I mean, he looks fine. There's no cast of it. He doesn't seem to have any cast on it on any of his limbs or all at all.
Right,
So who knows? Is it a concussion? Is it just a upper or lower body? We're never going to know anyway.
right.
But
So
it's got to be serious for him
not to play.
not to
Yeah.
play. And the same thing happened last year too in the Edmonton bubble, if you remember correctly. He didn't go up there at first with the team.
Right.
He arrived later. He got hurt towards the end of the season, and because of the COVID restrictions, he had I believe a bike in his hotel room that he was trying to keep his legs, get the blood flowing. So this has been a recurring factor with Pacioretty. He seems to get hurt at the wrong time for this team all the time because we can, when I say we, the team can use his scoring punch.
Well, it certainly makes it easier for the Wild to play against the Golden Knights, not having Pacioretty, because and we will see, we'll especially see that come tomorrow and Saturday when Minnesota has the last line change. But then again, we don't know if Pacioretty's going to play. The power play. It's almost too late to fix. I mean, you can just keep putting out guys who should be really good power play performers, and for whatever reason, it's in their head, and it's just not performing. So they're going to have to find a way to steal a power play goal here and there. Thankfully, the penalty killing was first in the National Hockey League during the regular season, and certainly seems as stout going forward. It also helps that they're the least penalized team in the NHL, so they don't have a whole bunch of, opportunities to flash their PK ability. But I mean, the takeaway is they got a split. They absolutely had to have the split, and now they're going back to Minnesota, and the banter out of Minnesota's room is we're an entirely different beast at home. And blah, 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 blah. Yeah, shut up. Play the game and let's see.
But, Eddie, you said the takeaway was they got the split. That was Minnesota's plan. Minnesota came to T-Mobile.
That's every team's. Every
just want to get the split. They want to get the split.
Right.
Vegas was supposed to hold serve at T-Mobile.
But.
And then take their chances in Minneapolis.
But getting the split after losing game one was significantly more important to the Golden Knights than it was to Minnesota.
It was a deal breaker, Eddie. Right. If they lose game two, it's over. I'll say this: it was over. There was no way they were going to win 4 of the next 5 games, with 3 of the games being in Minnesota. It just wasn't going to happen. They're very evenly matched with Minnesota. I think actually Vegas has a better chance of beating Colorado in a 7-game series as opposed to I think they will beat Minnesota, but I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it's going
Oh,
to
it's
be a
cool.
dogfight. Minnesota matches up well with Vegas.
It's clearly going to be a dogfight. And there's been a couple things that I've read where they said that this will probably be the most difficult series for them to get through. And yes, a lot of it has to do with the history. And honestly, I'm getting just sort of nauseous hearing about the record and this, that, and the other thing. As you and I both know, playoff hockey is not the same.
No.
You know, they could be 0-74 against the Minnesota Wild in the regular season. And Stanley Cup playoff hockey is different, right?
And what I find ironic is that, the Vegas has only been around 4 years, but I think they have more playoff experience and they know what it takes than Minnesota.
Minnesota's never been. Have they been past the first round in the last 10 years, 12 years?
I don't think so, but what I'm trying to say is that
no.
Vegas
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They have.
You think, Minnesota's been around? No, they may have been around, but the Vegas Golden Knights
battle tested.
Yeah, Vegas Golden Knights are battle tested. I mean, and they, what they did in year one is just incredible. What happened to them in year two was just, was criminal. What happened around, and then you got to kind of take the Edmonton bubble as, just, put it in a box and just put it away. That wasn't what was supposed to happen. It was just a circumstance. The NHL made the best they could out of a bad situation. This year, they made the best they could out of a continued bad situation with the schedule, the shortened schedule, only playing against division opponents. The wear and tear on the players has to be astronomical. I know as a writer and following a team, I'm exhausted with these games back to back, covering them, coming home, writing about them, staying up to all hours of the night, putting my articles together. And I'm not even playing. I can't even imagine what these guys physically have gone through trying to do this 56 game schedule. Again, is the Stanley Cup champion this year going to be the true champion based upon what these teams, all 16 teams, have to go through to get there?
I think that's an enormously difficult question, simply because in a more traditional, or not a more traditional, in a regular season, the Golden Knights see Boston, Washington, the Leafs, Pittsburgh, right? They see all the best teams. We don't really have an accurate gauge how good. Listen, they've said Colorado and the Golden Knights are the favorites to win the cup, and then you have Tampa, and then Toronto and Boston and stuff like that. So if we just acknowledge that there's a quartet or 5 or 6 teams that are in a class of their own that are most likely to win the Stanley Cup. We don't really know how good any of them are because they didn't play each other in the regular season. I mean, the Golden Knights won 40 games out of 56, okay? But they picked on, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do, but they beat the bad teams in their division. In an 82-game schedule, they're not going to have the luxury of playing the Ducks 8 times and playing the Kings 8 times.
And San Jose.
Right. So the answer to your question is, we don't necessarily know if it's going to be the best team. We know it's going to be the team that's playing the hottest is going to win the Stanley Cup. Is there going to be an asterisk by it? Absolutely not.
No, there won't be an asterisk by it. But I will kind of jump on your point here. If the team that's the hottest is going to win, then I'm going to tell you right now, Fleury is playing the best goaltending of all 16 teams right now. So based upon that, I think the Golden Knights have an excellent chance of going all the way. It's Fleury's net, by the way. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well,
Robin Leonard may not even play a playoff game this year.
You skipped ahead, but
I do that.
It's if he's the key, then yeah, he's playing better. But you know what? Colorado had 50 shots against St. Louis in game one. And they're still healthy, but they still have a question in goal. I don't care what you say about Grubauer. He ain't Fleury. So, if they get by Minnesota, and I think you and I both expect that it's going to be 6.
Actually, I think I said 7 in my prediction.
So if they get by Minnesota, the chances of them winning the cup, I think, are pretty stout, with the assumption, of course, that Fleury stays healthy and this and that
Right.
and the other thing. So that's going to wrap up the 2 games. But let's talk about some game within the game stuff. Is it more important for Minnesota to shut down Mark Stone, or the Golden Knights to shut down Kirill?
Good question. I think Mark Stone is the heart and soul of this team, so I think it's more important for Minnesota to shut down Mark Stone, and they obviously made that their game plan. Okay, the way Fleury's playing, the little Russian kid, I think we can get by stifling him somewhat, because basically he is their offense. The Zuccarello and him are their offense. Other than that, their offense drops down after those 2 players.
Okay, so based on that, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that it's more important that the Golden Knights keep Kirill off the board. Stone provides significantly more contribution to the Golden Knights in different ways, even if he's only got 2 shots through the first 2 games and only 1 assist. The point that you made sort of made my point. If they can shut down Kirill's line, then all they really have to worry about is Fiala. I mean, the depth scoring is really kind of the deal breaker to me. The Golden Knights can win it. The Golden Knights can win this series, and Stone can have 3 points because he's going to be on the PK. He's still going to be absolutely should be the Selke winner for best defensive forward. And all the other things that he does every single night and has since he got here, they can keep him off the scoreboard, and all the other things will still happen. Kirill is not a great defensive player. Kirill is not a PK guy. Kirill isn't a takeaway guy, stuff like that. So I think that if the Golden Knights can continue to shut down Minnesota's top line, that they have a better chance, and Stone can keep contributing in other ways than necessarily, putting points on the board. And the other point is the breakaway in game 1 where he tapped it off the side of the net. He almost had a break yesterday. The puck was just a little bit ahead. So the 2-shot thing, plus the couple shots that were blocked, I think is a little bit of a misnomer. But his contributions will not stop, and they won't be able to. They may be able to keep him off the score sheet, but they won't be able to keep him from being a legitimate Hart candidate and an absolute should be a lock for Selke.
Well, here's where I'm going to disagree with you. Okay, like I said, Stone is the heart and soul of this team, and Minnesota is not only shutting him down, or at least attempting to shut him down, and have been successful in the first 2 games, but they are taking the body on him too, and they're wearing him down, which is gonna contribute to maybe him not being 100%, and having Stone at 100% on both sides of the puck, so to speak, I think is a lot more important than shutting down the Russian kid. If they're able to take Stone out of the mix, it helps, and I'll tell you why. Without Pacioretty, when you have to bring Tuck up to the first line, that pretty much drops off the scoring possibilities of the Vegas Golden Knights, at least especially for lines 3 and 4. 2, the Marchessault, Carlson, Riley Smith line. Riley Smith has kind of been snake bitten. Carlson, he's there, and Marchessault got that time of the goal last night. But the point is, I think it's more important more beneficial for Minnesota to take Stone out of the mix on both ends of the puck, and they're doing that because if you notice, they're hitting him at every opportunity they get, and over a 7-game series, that is going to wear on Stone.
Okay, so if we take what you said to be, let me ask you this. Can the Golden Knights, because let me start the question again. The Minnesota's game plan changes significantly if Pacioretty's in the lineup with Stone and Stevenson. You would agree to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's play the what if game. What if Pacioretty doesn't return in this series? Can the Golden Knights beat Minnesota with Minnesota's absolute focus on shutting down Mark Stone?
I think that question is answered by can Fleury continue to play at the level he's playing, and can Cam Talbot, who I believe is playing above his level right now, if Talbot continues playing at above his level and Fleury's level drops a bit, then Vegas is not going to win the series. But if Fleury continues to play at the level he's playing and Talbot comes back to reality, yes, the Vegas Golden Knights can win without Stone being Stone. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I think taking Tuck from the third line move to the first kind of drains the spreading of the wealth, so to speak. There's a big drop off when we get down to lines 3 and 4 if Tuck's up on the top line because his speed. I mean, you can appreciate his speed on TV when you see it live in person. Between him and Stevenson, it's like they have like these little afterburners on the back of their skates. They just blow by people, and fine, you're going to have that first line, but Stone is the key to that first line. If Stevenson can't set Stone up, he's got to rely basically on Tuck only. If you take Tuck from that third line to the first line, well, then you're not going to have any goal production on the bottom 6 forwards, basically. So that's, and you got to hope that Marchessault scores timely goals like he did last night.
Okay, so that begs the question then, and I'll just follow down this path. Should they put Janmark on the first line and keep Tuck on the third?
That's, in my opinion, that probably is the better option because it gives at least the top 3 lines more of a balance and less of a drop off. If you understand where I'm coming from, I think Tuck adds an element to the third line, and the third line loses that element when you move him up because Janmark is not as fast as Tuck, but you have enough speed on the first line with Stevenson.
Nobody's as fast as Tuck. But Janmark is awfully quick.
He's quick, but what you do is you have enough. I believe you have enough speed with Stevenson to create opportunities for Stone
through the neutral zone. He pushes the D back.
And I think you don't lose Stone's speed, but you don't take advantage of it because Stone adds a different element to that third line that's no longer there if he's up playing with. I'm sorry, Tuck speed doesn't. When you take him off the third line, it drops the production. In my opinion, it drops the production of the third line down a few notches.
Well, to complicate matters even further, because hey, why not? It's Stanley Cup, right? The first injury bug bite hit the Golden Knights last night. Tomas Nosek, who missed the last bunch of games with another mysterious, some kind of injury, came back. He certainly did not have his legs in the first game, and I think it was a strategic miscue to even have him skate on the first line in his first game back.
Made no sense.
But in game 2, he only played about a minute, and he took a pretty solid hit from Greenway, open ice. He went off, and he didn't return. So now somebody who we thought was on the mend and would be getting better every game is potentially out again because he looked pretty dinged up after the hit. And Jordan Greenway is like a Hague-sized guy plus some. So what's the fix? Is Patrick Brown, Jesus, English, dude. Is Patrick Brown first guy up to go in the middle of the third line?
Well, again, this all pretty much relies on whether Pacioretty plays in Game 3. If Pacioretty plays in Game 3, then that's the easy fix for Nosek being out of the lineup.
Sure.
Because then you can move Tuck back down to the third line, and you're doing okay. I didn't understand DeBoer playing two centers on the first line. You know, Nosek's by trade is a center, so you got Nosek and Stevenson on the line. Why do that? You know, at this point, move Janmark up. Janmark can
I
play.
didn't understand it either, and the experiment only lasted a period. So, but the question is, okay, so, you know, we can't assume. Let's assume that Pacioretty's not in the lineup, because until we know different, we have to assume that he's out. Nosek is going to be out. You've got the Black Aces, right? Do you put a more all-around, grindy, muckety-mucker kind of Nosek player, which is Patrick Brown, or do you potentially bring up a scorer, somebody like Dylan Sakura?
Well, then this is where the Krebs injury really hurts, because
Krebs, devastating. Absolutely.
Krebs would have been the perfect fit, you know.
Krebs probably would have made opening night lineup.
Yeah,
I think.
But also is when you bring Sakura, you're not even considering bringing Glass in.
I think that a change of scenery is probably best for him at this point. I think that the situation that he was thrown to is very unfair, but it's win at all costs. It's been that way since Mr. Foley bought the team. But I think that they've messed with the kid's head too much, up and down, first line, you know, third line, sent to Henderson, not scoring at 5-on-5. Considering that you have to make the call up be a third 3C or 4C, right? Depending on how you want to, what you want to do with Kolasar, who I think has played very well in the first couple games. It might be time that Cody Glass moves on, and we'll know for sure if they don't call Cody Glass up for tomorrow's game. If Nosek's out, then I think you can use the permanent marker to say that this experiment didn't work out.
Well, you know, Patrick Brown has skated in both warmups for games 1 and 2, so obviously the thinking there was that Patrick Brown is the next man up. But
they thought that, and they probably thought they weren't sure if Nosek was going to go.
Yeah, well, I understand that. So why not bring Glass up for the warmups also? I mean, there is no more salary cap.
Right.
You know,
but it's a matter of slot. It's a matter of how you want to slot the lineup. Patrick Brown gives you very little offense, but gives you great defense and a lot of sandpaper and a good forecheck.
Eddie, 3 goals in 2 games. You know, the Knights don't need more defense. They need more goals. And I think Cody
Glass, 0 goals, 5-on-5, 4 goals on the power play.
Okay, and what's one thing that needs to improve on the Vegas Golden Knights right now?
Okay, but
especially with Pacioretty out, if there's one segment of the Vegas Golden Knight game that needs to improve, what would it be?
Okay, but put your Kelly McCrimmon hat on for a second. Do you think that the team has lost faith in Cody Glass?
I don't know if they've lost faith, but I think they believe that he needs to mature more. He needs to develop more. I think they realized they rushed him. They rushed him too quickly, and it was all because of the salary cap. They needed to fill a spot. They needed to get rid of Stasny, and they needed to get rid of Schmidt in order to bring Petrangelo in, and they needed to fill that spot. And they thought Cody Glass was the answer. Cody Glass was going to be the third line center. Okay, and
Did they talk themselves into that?
did they what?
Did they talk themselves into that?
I don't know if they talked themselves into it or they made a hockey decision that Cody Glass could hold his own centering the third line. And that proved not to be true. Cody Glass plays good when he's on the power play because there's a little bit more room out there for him. Cody Glass is not a big guy. So, when there's the extra body on the ice, when there's a 5-on-5, there's not enough room for Cody Glass. Cody Glass excels on a power play. The Vegas Golden Knights need help on the power play. I say they should bring Cody Glass up just for the power play. And he's not going to hurt you defensively playing the center on a third line. He's not going to hurt you there. Is he going to give you more offense on a 5-on-5? Well, we know that the answer to that already. That's probably not going to happen. Does he add an element, a good positive element to the power play? I say yes.
So for the third line, let's just play the what if game some more because we're running a little bit short on time. I like Janmark on the first line with Stevenson and Stone. And if we went with your pick, so you like Cody Glass between Waugh and Tuck on 3?
Absolutely.
And then the 4, we know what the 4 is going to be. They're going to ground it's going to be what it is. So that's the line. If you were Pete DeBoer, the lineup you would ice tomorrow night brings assuming no Nosek and no Patches. You're bringing up Cody Glass.
I would, but it's not going to happen. Patrick Brown is going to be put into the line. If Patrick can't go, you might as well just pencil in Patrick Brown right now. It's going to happen. My opinion is that what do they got to lose by bringing Cody Glass up? I think Cody Glass is a better offensive player than Patrick Brown. Patrick Brown is a better defensive player than Cody Glass. But the Knights right now are not in need of shoring up their defense. They're in need of shoring up their offense. And Cody Glass brings that element that Patrick Brown does not bring. Okay, and that's my opinion. When you start comparing what hurts you more or what hurts you less,
right?
I think Patrick Brown hurts you more for your goal production, and Cody Glass hurts you more for your defensive production. But right now, the Golden Knights don't need help defensively. I mean, St. Louis, I keep saying St. Louis, Minnesota has scored 2 goals in 2 games. And one of them was a fluke goal. And one of them was a shot that...
The Golden Knights have scored 3.
And exactly. That's my point. They need offensive help. It's exactly my point.
I think it's problematic for them, for sure, that this juggle. I mean, thankfully, there's no salary cap, like you said, in the playoffs, so at least they get to put 18 skaters out there.
Well, they played shorthanded last night. Well, they used to that.
Hey, good thing they had plenty of practice of it.
They've had
season, right? They had 9 or 10 games to work on playing one forward down.
And that was a point I made in my other game notes was that some nights played short, but they had plenty of practice doing that.
So we move on. Puck drop tomorrow is at 6:30 Las Vegas time. What you got a prediction for tomorrow night? What kind? Not necessarily the score. Minnesota's going to play in front of 17 fans tomorrow night or something like that, and but
the crowd is not going to be a factor tomorrow.
So tell me, is it going to be a more physical game than games 1 and 2, or is it going to be more of a speed and finesse game? What kind of game do you expect tomorrow night?
Well, consider the fact that Minnesota will now have the last line change. They're going to be able to match up exactly who they want against Stone. and I think they're going to continue to play physical against Stone. They hit him at every opportunity they can. They're trying to frustrate Stone, and I think they're trying to get him to react also. And he's been good about not reacting because they would love nothing more than Stone be sitting in a penalty box, reacting to a face wash or
Sure.
a cross check to the back or something to that. I think the Vegas Golden Knights have to stay focused. I think they have to get into their heads that they can win in regulation time in Minnesota. We don't need another one goal game. It's just too. I mean, it's just gut wrenching having these one goal games. I mean, last night they kind of opened up a little bit when Tuck scored his second goal. But other than that, it was a 2-1 game, and thankfully Fleury just continues to just be the best I've ever seen him be. I mean, I know you disagree that I think he's played two better big games in game 6 and
It's
7.
not that I'm disagree. I'm just a homer because the 6 and 7, when all the chips were in the table,
Yeah.
on the table. But that being said, the one question we don't have to go over is whose net it is.
Fleury.
So
I think I said earlier, Leonard may not play a game. Ironic as it is, that $5 million maybe just, we all talked about can they really go through a playoff run with $12 million in goaltending, and you had said that absolutely they need to go back and forth, keep the rotation.
It's either a $5 million insurance policy or a $7 million insurance policy. Either way, one of them's an insurance policy. I feel bad because Robin Leonard shaved his head and might not even get to play. I feel I'd be here the bald panda. I mean, who's ever heard of a bald panda? It's crazy talk. So
yeah, I think
3 out of 5, right? They got to win 3 out of the next 5 games.
With 3 games being in St. Louis.
No, they play against Minnesota, Joe.
I'll keep on doing this. What's wrong with me?
Take your medication.
Oh
they got to have pills that can help guys your age.
I apologize.
Okay. So 3 out of 5. They got to win 3 of the next 5 games. They have to come out with at least a split in the next 2, right? And make it a best of 3 with 2 games at home.
They have to win at least 1 game in Minnesota.
Right.
I said Minnesota that time. I didn't say St. Louis.
Yeah,
they have to win 1 game. And preferably it will be tomorrow night. Hopefully they win that game, because then at that point, all the pressure is on Minnesota. Well, then they have to win.
The stats bear it out. The team that wins game 3, the winning percentage is over 700.
Right. So, yeah. If Vegas Golden Knights win tomorrow night, the absolute pressure is on Minnesota that becomes a must win for them.
Okay. You and I both like to gamble a little bit, sometimes more than we're supposed to. Are we going to get a price on the Golden Knights tomorrow? We're going to get a plus number? We're going to get a chance to bet 100 and take back 110 on the Golden Knights on the road?
Based upon the first 2 games, I think Minnesota will be about a minus 130.
Pardon me?
Minnesota will be like a minus 130 tomorrow night.
And 120 coming back the other way?
Well, if you have the right sports book, if you're a square and you don't know any better, you're only getting plus 110.
Wow.
You think it's going to be? You think Minnesota's going to be a bigger favorite than 130?
Smaller. I think the books could take a serious bath if they went that far. I think it's going to be 105, 105. It's going to be almost a pick'em game.
Ooh.
It's certainly not going to be 130 and 120 coming back on the Knights. It's a great trap, but can you imagine the amount of money on that's going to be bet on Vegas to get a plus number?
I think the Vegas sports books learned their lesson in year 1.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. So, all right, we always end with a prediction. thankfully, we don't have to pitch subscribe and like below anymore because it's going to be added into the video. So we don't have to do that. So let's go. Tomorrow night, game 3 in Minneapolis. I need score and game-winning goal because we haven't done that before.
We haven't, haven't we?
No.
Whew. 3-1 Vegas. Alex Tuck with the winning goal.
Okay. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go 4-3. I think this.
Whoa,
I think,
7 goals?
I think this game. I think they've unpuckered their sphincters a little bit, and I think this game's going to open up. I'm going to take 4-3, and I'm going
Who? 4-3 who?
4-3. I'll take Vegas 4-3.
Okay.
And for the game-winning goal, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to take. You know what? I'm going to take Alex Pietrangelo. I'm going to take Alex Pietrangelo. He skated about 18 miles in the first 2 games. He certainly seems to have found his way in the last few games. That's it. 4-3 Vegas, Alex Pietrangelo. My co-host Joe Payne has 3-1 with Alex Tuck continuing his game-winning goal streak and his title as the Golden Knight with the most playoff goals in history.
That was when I read that, I was like, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because he put up a snowman, 8 of them in the bubble.
And Edmonton, yep.
So that's going to wrap up the Stanley Cup edition. Thank God we have an editor, Austin, to help us get through our stumbles and mumbles. We will be back with you on Sunday after game 4. We'll either be licking our wounds or laughing about all of our crazy prognostications. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.
Take care, buddy.